Okay, that should be going live in a second.
We are live.
Yay, we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. So today, this Facebook Live is about baby whispering, and I am going to invite Dr. Adeela Afiz to tell us about her upcoming class, Harmonious Parenting, which is happening on the 1st of August. So, Dr. Adeela, take it away.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. So a lot of you know me, a lot of you are from our tribe, but you might not know what harmonious parenting is. So that's what this class coming up is all about. And I work with a lot of parents, a lot of kids, and a lot of families, as many of you know. So hence the baby whispering classes. This class is a special class. It's got a slightly different take on it. It's not focused so much on the baby and all of the things that we want to support our kids with. It's about looking at the parents and looking at whether or not there's harmony in your home, harmony with your partner, and also harmony with how you're both parenting either together, if you're together as a family, together as a couple, and you're all under one roof. But also increasingly in today's day and age, we're working with families in different situations. And as parents sometimes are splitting up, sometimes there's lots of conflict. How do we navigate through that conflict? How do we get you from conflicted parenting or a conflicted family dynamic between the parents, between the parent and child, between how the child is being affected by the lack of harmony in your home? How do we get you more onto the same page? How do we get you feeling empowered and supported? And how do we get you feeling like you have some awareness of what tools you could use or what you could do when you feel like you're just all alone?
And that's so cool. We have a couple of parents on the call too. Like we have Sangeeta and then we have Smriti. So what is it that you would like to know from a class like this, Sangeeta and Smriti? If you're hearing me, Smriti, are you there? Sangeeta.
Oh, you're muted. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so Smriti, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
This is really interesting, and I'm so glad you're doing this class, Adeela, because it is invariably every time there is like a big decision that needs to make, or even the small ones like what time the kids need to sleep, and when you have like one of us being a little more chilled, and I am talking about me, when you have one of us a little more chilled about when they eat, when they sleep, or how they spend their day, and then you have the other parent that is a little more like insistent on a routine. It can get a little, well, yeah. And so what would you say to that? Because I always find, of course, I do use like a little bit of manipulation, but it is really hard. It's almost like it would turn out into like a contention. Like, I mean, like I'd be like, let them sleep when they're sleepy. And then, he'd be like, they require 10 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep to be healthy children. So there are all these different ideologies and things that we've been brought up with. And so then it gets a little difficult also because what would you like, especially when it's like with the children around and it's happening like on the spot, and you don't want them to think that we are not on the same page, and yet you don't want this to turn out into like a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly the scenario you've explained is like exactly the inspiration behind this class. But also what I love is normally it's the mum that's like trying to have structure and rules, and the dad's just like, no, I just got home from work. I want to play with them for 2 hours. Who cares about bedtime or whatever it is, right? But for me, it's been about working with families, and this thing, which can be quite small. I was doing another Facebook Live yesterday, and I was talking about how when you're two people and you're just a couple without any kids, if you and I disagree about what we want to do or when we want to do it or how we want to do it, we can even decide to do our own thing, you know, on that particular day. Cool. You stay at home, I'll go to the movies. Okay, you stay up, I'm going to bed. When you've got a child involved and you're trying to do what's best for that child, it becomes, as you say, so contentious. And that person as well as a partner that you could have been so close to and felt like you guys were like so on the same page as life partners, I just see all the time that suddenly they're like feeling like they're getting further and further apart, and all their conversations are just about like like how they don't agree on how to bring up their child or their children. And so for me, this class is first of all about creating like a framework, creating the message that it's okay and you're okay, and this is actually a normal experience. I see it more often than not, and I see it in even like the strongest household, like the households where you think everything's perfect from the outside. Yeah. And then secondly, what does each parent need? Where are they coming from? And how can we help both parties to feel acknowledged and feel heard, but also not make it about the issue or make it about them, but make it about what's going to work best for everyone, including and especially the child. As a practitioner, what I'm looking at working with is what are the things that are not, that the child is fine with, and we can have some leeway here. And then what are the things that we need to hold quite strong as boundary lines, and we need to get both of the parents onto the same page. But how do we get the parents onto the same page in a positive and empowering way, not from that place of you're wrong and I'm right, and I know what I'm doing better than you, and you need to do what I say you need to do.
Thank you for saying that, because usually it does become that, becomes like about, are you going to give in to the kids, or are you going to, you know, support me with what I'm saying, and not make it about like, oh my God, if you don't say yes to me now, then the kids get the leeway to say no to me all the time. So that becomes, you know,
100%. And that was for me when I'm working with the mums, especially. I say mums here because they are the ones often bringing the kids to me, and they're really like closely connected with the kids' emotional needs. And then dads are often coming in and they're providing the physical needs, and they're doing fun activities, and they're trying to do like, you know, as long as the big picture's working, dad's fine. And then mum's all about the nuance because she's spending like 24/7 with these kids usually. And so for the mum, just increasingly feeling unsupported, and feeling like even if she says something, you know, dad's not back, doesn't have her back pretty much. And it works both ways, where the mum's feeling like dad doesn't have her back, or dad's feeling like mum doesn't have her back. And the kids, whether or not you agree for the moment, so the kids think you're on the same page, the kids pick up on that discrepancy. They know that they've got the space to like really push the boundaries and be able to get you guys to play off against each other. And that doesn't create harmony in the home either.
So, Dr. Adeela, would you be touching upon, you know, the fact that it's these days with the lockdown, the dads are spending 24/7 at home as well. So it's not that it helps the situation, but it is true. And it's been over 4 months and we're still expecting a couple more months. So would you be touching upon that as well?
Yes, the hot topic. I think all of my classes should be rebranded to dealing with COVID. Yeah. During the lockdown, parenting through lockdown. I'm sure there'll be a lot of information and questions, just like in the last baby whispering class we had a few weeks ago. There is the general information and the questions that people have pertinent to all times, but then the particular questions around how to get through this particular time, because it's a unique situation. Mums have never had like their husbands underfoot 24/7 as well as the kids. And, you know, dads have maybe never experienced what it's like to actually be home all the time. So they'll definitely be covering it, I'm sure.
Awesome. I can't wait. Smriti, do you have anything that's, I mean, Smriti is the other mom that I know on the call.
all of that. In fact, that's how the whole conversation began once when I was chatting with Adeela, and I said, this is like something that that creates a separation between the parents per se, and more importantly, what does that create for the child? And because the child loves both the parents, but somewhere child also gets caught up in that conflict as to who should I listen to, which is the correct way, which is not the correct way. And it creates a lot of confusion for the child. And then there is the other dynamic that if I listen to my mom, my dad gets upset with me. And now what do I do? And so I feel wrong as a child because now I have not listened to my dad and I've listened to my mom. So I also look at it from that place, that does this, do we address also this aspect as to how do you communicate with the child in these kind of scenarios where you're acknowledging that the way dad addresses this is this, sweetheart. This is the way I look at it. But now, from a child's perspective, what is a child supposed to do? What is the child supposed to think? What is the child supposed to feel? Because it's quite a conflict in their universe as well.
Yes.
And there are times when the outfall of it is they lose their sense of confidence. They lose their sense of what relationships are all about. The whole definition of what is a relationship supposed to be all about gets kind of skewed, and then the child grows up to have horrible relationships themselves because, they're so scarred with those conflicts that they saw. So.
And everything Smriti's just spoken about, like when we were having that conversation, first of all, for me, when I'm seeing that dynamic, it's really sad. Like I see the impact on the children. And then I also see something I wanted to address in this class coming up is the behaviors that I see in the children as a result of this, that the parents might be like, we have no idea why he acts like that or why he does that. But if you dig a couple of layers, it's actually in direct response to what's going on with the parents and the conflict in their parenting approach and the conflict that the child is aware of. And kids are just so bright and so aware. Like I have the youngest kids that you would think this would all be going over their head. No, it's not. It's not going over their head, and you would be amazed at the behaviors that they're choosing, or not choosing actually, the behaviors that they default to or use as a coping mechanism in response to everything they're perceiving and picking up on and that they are aware of and don't know how to deal with. The adults in the situation don't know how to deal with it. So the child definitely doesn't know how to deal with it. And it can get really heartbreaking. And so again, this class, it's based on just my years of experience working with these situations. And it's not that there is one answer. It's not that there's going to be one approach that I say, use it for across the board, but across the different families and the hundreds or thousands of different families and clients that I've had and worked with, I can give you a range of approaches and talk to you about what's going on for you and what might work for you and your family and what's going on in particular for you guys right now.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, I could give you an example, like, when it's like if one parent has said something to the child, and the child comes to, like, let's say my husband has said something and the child has come to me to tell me, Papa said this. And then I go and say to the Papa that, why did you say this to her? Okay? So now my husband and I are warring. Now he gets upset at the child. Why did you go and tell Mama? Okay? Now the child gets this place where the child thinks that it's wrong for me to go and tell. I did something wrong by going and telling Mama what Papa said.
Yeah.
Okay. Now go forward. Something happens at school, something happens to the child, but you don't come to know about it because now the child has learned that it's wrong to tell. So the child keeps it to herself. She keeps suffering till something drastic occurs and suddenly the situation blows up. And that's when the situation comes to your awareness. And then when you ask the child, why didn't you tell me? And that's when you realize that the child has the point of view that is wrong to tell on somebody else.
Yeah.
So you just have to tolerate what that person is doing because it's wrong to go and complain about it or tell on that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly this is a perversion of like what should be happening, right? So the basic, when we go right down to the basics of this, the things that we all deserved to have and that all children deserve in an ideal world is feeling unconditionally loved, unconditionally supported, and the ability to feel like they can do things and feel things and even make mistakes and not be made really wrong for it. That there is, and that they can go through different situations and explore their boundaries and experience what they're feeling and experiencing and not have it create a major issue in the family, like what Smriti just described. You know, if the child, you know, does something or tries something and it creates a major issue between the parents, what is the child taking away?
Yeah.
And what I'm literally working with every day is little boys and little girls who just don't feel entirely safe. And I mean emotionally safe. Emotional safety is something I work a lot with. Don't feel emotionally safe as safe as they should with one parent, because that parent is also treating that child as an adult. Like they're thinking this child should know that this hurts me, or this is inappropriate behavior, or they're acting like this on purpose, or they told, you know, their mum on me, and they're coming. And this might sound silly. You might think, what other adult would think that about a child? But I actually see it all the time, that we as adults, we address children from our adult point of view, and we're looking at them and expecting them to have an adult to adult relationship, when we have with them an adult to child relationship, and they need to be completely nurtured, feel completely safe, and not feel like they have to either choose, or something that they are doing is creating conflict between their parents or in their environment. So that is a huge aspect of the, I was going to call it conflicted parenting, but that is the flip side of what this class is. So the class is called harmonious parenting, but on the flip side, it could equally be called conflicted parenting, because it's just so common. We're seeing it so much. And then we're seeing the conflict that gets created between the child and the parents, or the parents and the child. I had someone send me a message yesterday. She said, hey, I'd like to attend this class. So the age group I've put for this class is 0 to 12, because I work with that group a lot. I work with tweens and teenagers a lot too, but I almost want to do a different class for them, because then we're into different dynamics, right? When your kids become teenagers, it's a different minefield. But someone sent me a message. She said, hey, my daughter's 15, but I really want to do the harmonious parenting class because I know it will contribute. Can I do the class? Yes, absolutely. It's going to contribute with it, no matter how old your kids are. And for some parents, sometimes mums are feeling nervous already, even just when they're pregnant and the baby hasn't arrived, because they're nervous about this topic. They sometimes know or have an awareness that they're not going to be on the same page, or they're already worried about, I want to use this approach, or I want to use this kind of feeding and sleeping schedule, or I don't want visitors. And that's one of the beauties of COVID, actually. All of the new mums have said, We didn't have to deal with all of the unwanted guests when I'm completely exhausted and I can't deal with visitors right now. So that's been one of the nice things. But I've literally had clients just in tears because they feel so unheard, again, unsupported, feeling like how they want to parent isn't possible because of all the pressure, either from the husband or the other, or the mother, the wife or the husband, but also sometimes the members of the extended family, that then creates conflict between the immediate family, between you and your partner, or it makes you feel like you can't parent in the way you want to parent, and it creates an internal conflict, so a lack of harmony with yourself. And no matter what you're doing, and no matter what age your kids are and what stage of parenting you're at, we've only got that one opportunity, because our kids grow up way too fast anyway. But it's meant to be an enjoyable journey for all of us. And for me, I'm always about doing things in the most empowered way. There's actually not a benefit to a mother completely giving up herself and being like, fine, I'm going to completely be giving, and I'm going to do everything my husband wants and needs, and my kids wants and needs, and my in-laws want and need, and just do everything that's expected of me. And I'm just going to suck it up and deal with it until the kids are like 15 or 18 or 20 or whatever and leave the house, right? That energetically and physically isn't teaching our kids what they are looking for either. They are aware of that, and they're picking up on the fact that mum's not happy, mum's anxious. So what are they learning? One person in the family or in the parenthood gets completely ignored, or their feelings don't matter, or everyone's allowed to walk over them, or there's always a fight, or there's never happy times. Or what happens is the parents get tired of feeling like all they do is nag. All they do is they're telling off their children. All they're doing is having unhappy conversations and moments rather than the good moments. And so that's where you get to the point where you're like, well, maybe I'll give up. Maybe I'll just do what I have to. And so I don't think, that's not my hope for you as to what you experience as parents. And so if there's like a little bit of information, if there's some tools, some tips, or just some empowerment that you can take away from this conversation that we're going to have, that we're having today, and also the class we're having on Saturday, that's what I'm hoping it creates for parents around the world, for families around the world, and for children looking up to their parents and seeing how the family dynamics work and seeing what the reality of family life is. I'm hoping we can create a much more harmonious experience rather than a conflicted one.
Thank you, Adeela. And I do want to put it out there that it's at a mind-blowing price. It's insanely reasonable, one. And also you said that we just need one ticket for both parents to be on, which is amazing. And are kids invited too, if they'd like to join?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
So kids are invited. One ticket per household is great. And we have some wonderful translators who are going to translate this. We have Mandarin translation. We have Spanish. We have potentially Arabic. What else? I can't even remember all the translation. It's definitely in English, And if you can't join, as Sangeeta said, it's at a really reasonable price point because I'd love to get it out there to anyone who's looking for it. If you can't join live, you'll have access to the replay video and the audio, so you can rewatch it or catch up on it at your leisure. And in terms of timing, it's a 2.5 hour class. It's 7 to 9:30 p.m. in New Zealand. That's going to be 5 o'clock in Australia, in Sydney. That's going to be about 12:30.
That's
In
it.
India.
in India,
12:30 in India.
12:30 in India, and in the morning in Europe, and everyone else in the world. We'd love to have you on. On the registration page, you'll find a link that tells you what time in the world it's going to be for you. So if you know someone who's looking for this, if you have a family member or a friend that you know this is creating strife in their life, it's creating problems with their relationship with their partner, it's also creating problems with the relationship with their kids, or the kids are acting out, or they're starting to react to this situation at home, it's starting to feel really fragile at home, like you have to walk around on tiptoes, you're not happy, COVID's making it worse, you're like stuck in this environment together, please pass on the details of this class to them. And I haven't mentioned, we've run out of time, but this is also relevant for those of you who are parenting through separation or are divorced already, and you have a completely different point of view about how to bring up your kids, and you're not on the same page as your partner. What I want to basically impart and talk to you about is the fact that you can still create really positive change just by you being empowered and parenting in the way you would like to parent. And children are really resilient. So don't worry about the effect of the going between the two households and being on completely separate pages. Children still change so much, and the other partner or ex-partner, sometimes it's not about going at it head on. Sometimes they will respond energetically to the changes that they become aware of when you change your point of view and your approach. So how do we get out of the fight? How do we get out of the conflict? How do we get out of the polarity and the charge? And how do we create a really nice, neutral, harmonious approach to parenting that everyone can benefit from?
Also, this class is open to counselors and people that work with children, even if you don't have your own kids, right? Like school teachers and...
Yes, I would love more people like me. If you work with, if you're a facilitator, if you're a teacher, if you're an educator, if you're a counselor, if you would like some more tools and tips around what basically the information or the tools that I'm sharing with the parents, take that on board, use it in your practice like I do, or use it in your facilitation work. Because the families need this information, the kids need this support. So I would love more facilitators and practitioners like myself to be on this call. You definitely don't need to have your own kids. Lots of us have a special child or children in our lives, either through our work or through our family. So nephews and nieces, or friends who are god kids. If you are worried about them, or you're wondering how you can contribute to them, this class can help you too.
So this class is on the 1st of August, 12:30 p.m. for India. Adeela's already given us the time for the rest of the thing. We will be sharing the links for you to register. You can reach out to any one of us. You can reach out to Dattu, Smriti, me, Rashmi, Fena, any one of us here, and there are more. And we'll just set out the links and reach out to us, register, and we'll see you in the class.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Great chat.
Oh, she has a question.
Tina, go ahead. What's your question?
How old for the parents have the teenager or the children? How old is?
They can be any age. I've said 0 to 12 for this class, but 0 to 15 would still be fine. Kind of 15 onwards, the kids really have their own mind, and it's a different class with different strategies. It's not about the parents then, it's about the kid. Awesome. Okay, I think that's us wrapping up. Thanks so much, team. And we'd love to see lots of you on the call on Saturday. We're posting the registration link right here. So have a look at the amazing price, and we can't wait to see you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Adeela.
Thank you.
Thank